short video on enterprise investment scheme. So it's a scheme that's been devised by the government to incentivize investment in the UK. And I will mention 5 benefits, tax benefits that is, on the enterprise investment scheme. So the first benefit relates to income tax, which is 30% income tax relief. So SEIS is slightly different. The seed enterprise investment scheme, that's slightly different. These benefits are sort of connected, but also different, as in there's differing conditions for qualifying investors and companies as well. But I'm talking more from an EIS perspective. So 30% income tax relief, 50% for SEIS, but 30% for EIS purposes on investments up to £1 million. 2 million for knowledge-intensive companies, those companies that concentrate on R&D and that sort of area. 30% income tax relief, and it's used as a tax reducer. So you'll have your total income, taxable income, then you'll have your 20%, 40%, the rest of it, and then you'll get a deduction for 30% times. Let's just say you invested a whole million, £300,000 income tax relief. Very beneficial, and the relief is there, and then you can also potentially carry back 1 year as well. So a bit of planning can be done there. In fact, yeah, that needs to be looked at as to what's more beneficial, as always. The second advantage, tax advantage, is it is exempt. Any gains on EIS investments and SEIS are exempt as long as shares have been held for 3 years or more. So as long as you hold shares for 3 years or more, any gain is exempt. And you have to understand that the conditions for qualifying as a company means that the shares that are subscribed for or the company is generally a bit riskier. So gains, therefore, the more risk, the more reward potentially. Therefore, gains are exempt, and that's you have to have held the shares for 3 years or more. If you don't hold the shares for 3 years or more, the gains are not exempt, and you lose your income tax relief as well. So that's connected to income tax, the 30%. You have to hold for 3 years. If not, then the income tax relief is clawed back. So you do get the relief at that point, but then it'll be clawed back. For CGT purposes, you have to look at the date of disposal, and at that point you assess the situation. Are the conditions met? If they are, then all the tax relief, it's all exempt basically. The third advantage is, again for CGT purposes, is the deferral relief or the reinvestment relief. So it works a bit like rollover relief, but basically if you make a disposal on another asset and you make a gain, any amounts reinvested into qualifying EIS shares, the gain that has been the gain on the disposal of the asset, previous asset, can be rolled over into the base cost of the new share. So it works like rollover relief, and is specifically available for reinvestment of the proceeds on the initial asset into EIS shares. So that's quite beneficial as well. The fourth advantage is for IHT purposes. BPR, or currently known as BR, business relief, may potentially be available subject to qualifying conditions. And the final advantage, there's probably more, there are more advantages, but I'm just mentioning the main 5, is again coming back to income tax purposes, income tax and CGT. This is one of the only instances where a capital loss can be offset against, can be used against income tax. So a capital loss. So as I mentioned earlier, the companies are a bit riskier, so there's scope for loss. But the advantage, again, to incentivize the investment into these sort of companies is that the loss can be offset against income under section 131. Usually income tax losses are offset against income and capital losses are offset against capital gains, and that's about it. But under section 131, specific rules whereby and it's related to EIS, whereby the capital loss can be offset against income. Therefore, you are it's quite beneficial in the sense that you are potentially offsetting against 40 and 45%, because these brackets of taxpayers would usually be the individuals that are investing in these sort of schemes. I hope that all made sense, and I hope that was beneficial as always. If you have any questions or any comments, or if you enjoyed the video, then leave a comment down below and thumbs up as well. Yeah, and if you have any questions, then feel free to get in touch. Thank you.